Hello, my name is Arun Vamori with the DHS Science and Technology Directorate. Thank you for joining us today for the initial webinar on the 2020 Biometric Technology Rally. I'm joined by my colleagues Jake Casagrande, Yevgeny Sorotin, and John Howard, and we all look forward to speaking to you today about what we're planning to do with the new rally this fall. So before we jump into it, I'd like to give you a quick overview on the Biometric and Identity Technology Center. This is a group within the DHS Science and Technology Directorate, which is focused on driving biometric and identity innovation in DHS through advanced research, development, test, and evaluation capabilities. Our goal is to facilitate and accelerate understanding of biometric and identity technologies, to basically describe the capabilities as well as the limitation of these technologies as they exist today. Ultimately, we want to help facilitate the adoption of these technologies as appropriate through a build once and use widely model. We're attempting to help drive efficiencies throughout the department to help people reuse technologies rather than stand up siloed technologies or capabilities, to provide advisement and subject matter expertise across DHS components and users, and to engage industry and provide better feedback to advance the capabilities of current technologies. And finally, really to facilitate innovation by working more closely with industry and academia with a more active feedback loop to help people understand where we see the capabilities working well, but also where we see limitations and room for improvement. The Biometric and Technology Rallies are basically our challenge to industry to meet specific DHS use cases and to help develop robust solutions that work all the time, not just some of the time. Our goal is to, again, facilitate and foster innovation with partnerships across government and industry, and to work more closely to help close different capability gaps as they exist within DHS today. We also focus on trying to help inform procurement activities, operational tests, pilots, and systems acquisitions, so that we can demonstrate to DHS end users about how systems actually work and what their capabilities and limitations are. And with that, I'd like to turn this over to Jake Casagrande.
So one thing we wanted to get out of this discussion was to not only give you a glimpse of our previous rallies, but to give you an idea of what to expect for this 2020 rally coming up. We encourage you that if you want to find out any more information about any of the previous rallies or this rally, to visit our website, mdtf.org, where we'll be posting these slides later. And then, just reach out. So this isn't our first rally. This is our third that we're planning in 2020. We've done two in the past, one in 2018 and one in 2019. The one in 2018 looked at acquisition systems only. So how well was a system able to provide a quality image? That had a pretty high interest. There was a pretty good turnout. So not only in 2019 were we able to increase the number of acquisition systems that we looked at, but we were also able to look at matching systems as well. So how well were algorithms able to process the images collected from these different acquisition systems? So obviously these rallies have been pretty beneficial for us. We've been able to collect copious amounts of data. However, based on because of the agreements that we've had with the systems as well, we've been able to learn that these systems are learning things about their systems as far as how people are interacting with them and how naive users interact with their systems. So the 2018 and 2019 rally really focused in on this high throughput use case. And we evaluated these systems using three components of usability: efficiency, how quick can a system collect an image; effectiveness, how well could the system collect an image; and satisfaction, how accepted was it by its users. And the 2018 and 2019 rallies really focused on individual processing. So one individual walks into a system for a transaction, and the individual walks out, and the next one walks in. And what we've noticed that between the 2018 and 2019 rally, there was a pretty notable improvement in performance for these systems. And we expect that improvement to transfer on between 2019 and 2020. However, we want to raise the stakes a little bit. So we want to introduce this concept of group processing. So not only is there one person going into the system during a transaction, but we'd also like to introduce multiple people going into the system during one transaction. And how we're going to do this is we're going to split this rally into two phases. And I'll let Yevgeny and John get into the details of phase 1 and phase 2 in just a second. However, phase 1 will be very similar to our past rallies. We'll be looking at processing individuals through these systems. We'll require a face image, and we'll allow iris and fingerprint optional as well. But one aspect of this is that we will invite the top systems from phase 1 to participate in the phase 2, which is a new challenge for us. Here we'll be requiring one face image per individual per group, and I'll let John get into the specifics of this. We are also introducing an opt-in and opt-out concept to this phase. So some individuals of the group will be actively using the system, some won't, and it'll be up to the systems to acquire the appropriate individuals. Another important aspect is that we would like the same system to be in place for phase 1 and phase 2, both hardware and software. And finally, we will be holding a VIP day for those that are participating in phase 2, and that VIP day will be very similar to our previous rallies, where we invite representatives from different agencies and industry to come and see your systems, ask you about your systems, and just have a discussion. And finally, for me, like we have done in the 2019 rally, we're also going to be holding a matching system evaluation portion. So we'll be inviting algorithms to submit their algorithms to us so we can process this data that we collect in previous rallies, and we are accepting face, fingerprint, and iris matching algorithms. And in that, I will pass it on to Yevgeny to talk about phase 1.
So phase 1 will look really similar to past rallies. The acquisition system will have to process volunteers one at a time. We'll require all acquisition systems to acquire face images, with fingerprint and iris multimodal collection optional. So these images should be familiar to those that have participated in the rallies before, but to those that are joining us for the first time, the phase 1 test will have folks line up in front of an acquisition system capture station, which is going to be standard for all systems. The individuals will be scanned into the station one at a time by a test guide, and then they will interact with the image capture system. And the job of the image capture system will be to capture images for each individual. The individuals will then leave the station and rate their satisfaction using a standard kiosk. So phase 1 looks like previous rallies. From phase 1, we will put up to 16 systems to participate in this phase. This is much more than in prior rallies because based on our experience from 2018 to 2019, we anticipated a greater demand for participation. Vendors will have a single day to install their systems at the test facility, and this will be followed by 3 days of data collection for phase 1. Selection for phase 1 will favor acquisition systems that demonstrate that they can flexibly support a variety of use cases, fitting within booths, kiosks, podiums, e-gates, or other potential use cases. So we're looking for systems that are generalizable. The metrics for phase 1, again, will be similar to prior rallies. Jake already mentioned some of them. Efficiency will be measured as the time required to use a system. Effectiveness will measure how well the system acquires a single quality image of each person. And satisfaction broadly will measure positive user ratings towards each system. And these metrics that we measure for phase 1 will be used to inform something new, which is down selection for phase 2. So what will be different in this rally is that performance in phase 1 will be used to down select systems for participation in phase 2 and for inclusion in the stakeholder VIP day. Only half the acquisition systems will be selected, a maximum of 8. So your system will have to demonstrate excellent performance in phase 1 in order to make it to phase 2 and VIP day. There'll be a transition period between phase 1 and phase 2, and vendors will have to temporarily deinstall systems while we reconfigure the test environment for group processing. So today, most biometric processing is a one-at-a-time process. With the 2020 rally, we're challenging industry to develop systems that can support group processing in these use cases. The images on this slide show the way things are. Note that both staffed and unstaffed operations today only accommodate one person at a time. We're looking to push beyond this limitation and identify technologies designed to handle small groups. I'll turn it over to John Howard now to talk more about how we will assess group processing in the 2020 rally.
So we know that moving from one-by-one test of biometric systems to this group testing concept is a big deal, both for you as technology providers and for us as technology evaluators. So we want to give everyone as clear of an idea as we can today about exactly how we're going to execute this particular phase of the 2020 rally. First off, the test station design that Gene talked about back on slide 8, the one that everyone who's participated in past rallies should be familiar with, is going to change for phase 2. As you can see on this figure on slide 13, the rally technology providers are still going to have this 6 by 8 foot box, but instead of being immediately flanked by the soft walls that you're all probably familiar with, we're going to push those out a little bit and create both a left lane and a right lane around that actual technology space. And we're also going to broaden the entry area of the station into more of like a funnel type concept as opposed to a single line stanchion. And the reason we're doing this is because instead of queuing individuals at the entryway, we're going to queue groups of people. Those groups will gather at the station entrance, and upon basically a signal from some of the test staff, they will proceed en masse through the station. Every person in the group has a lane assignment, either left, right, or center. We're calling the individuals assigned to go through the center lane where the actual rally technology is. Those are opt-in subjects. Those are people that are opting to use the biometric system. The objective of each rally system in phase 2 is to collect biometric samples from those opt-in subjects while explicitly not collecting samples from any of the subjects that are transitioning around the technology, basically through the left or right lane. So in this diagram here, the goal would be to collect biometric samples from the green individuals and not capture images from any of the gray individuals. The metrics for this should also look very familiar. We're going to keep our efficiency, effectiveness, and satisfaction metrics, just like from phase 1, but we're adding this sort of fourth performance axis, if you will, calling it privacy. We're going to measure how many of the opt-in group are collected and matched by the rally system. And then this privacy metric will just measure the ability of rally systems to capture only people in that middle lane. I highly encourage everyone listening today. We're going to have a more detailed technical webinar on April 7th. Please email people screening to RSVP for that. We're going to go into a lot more details then. Finally, Jake mentioned this briefly, the 2020 rally is going to have a matching system evaluation component. We're encouraging any developers of face, fingerprint, or iris matching systems to apply. We're going to use the data collected during the 2020 rally and maybe some data from past rallies to evaluate those matching systems. Everyone that participates in this phase of the evaluation is going to need to conform to a simplified biometric API that we have up on our GitHub page. They're both types of evaluation, the acquisition system and the matching system evaluation, are not mutually exclusive, so you can apply as both a acquisition system provider and a matching system provider if you want. And this is exactly the same as last year. This is how we're going to evaluate matching system metrics, basically effectiveness, things like false non-match rate, and then what we've called last year robustness. You can go on nbtf.org right now and see the robustness measures for last year's matching systems. Basically, the ability to maintain high effectiveness when a matching system is used with images that were taken by different acquisition systems. And again, we're going to go into this all more detailed on April 7th. With that, I'm going to turn it back to Arun, who's going to talk logistics and wrap up.
So why participate in the rally? So like we have done in the previous years, our goal is to provide feedback and information to participants in order for them to help improve their technologies and make them better over time. For the system acquisition providers, they will receive biometric images collected from their own system on a diverse group of volunteers on the order of several hundred people. That being said, if your system didn't collect an image, we can't share that back with you. You will get the images that were actually submitted to us by your systems. We will measure your performance of your system according to the measures that were described earlier, and you will get objective numbers back to you that you can figure out if that's how you intended your system to perform. We will also have videos of people interacting with your systems, so you will be able to see those videos of use errors, so you can understand how people are perhaps misinterpreting or misunderstanding how to use your system and make the interface perhaps a little bit differently. And then also just gain additional insights that may inform your technology improvements. Hopefully learn from this type of information and get a better understanding of what kinds of things might be possible to improve the overall capabilities of your systems. For matching system providers, you will receive data on the performance across a variety of different commercial acquisition systems on diverse volunteers. So it's not just about collecting on one system and matching on one. You will see how your matcher works with perhaps more than a dozen different collection systems. You will have the opportunity to partner perhaps with acquisition systems, so we will still continue to enable this matchmaking function where matcher systems may be able to identify good acquisition systems and develop strategic partnerships. And then also you will have a chance to inform government on the system performance of your capabilities within a scenario that is specifically relevant to DHS and a number of other agencies. The other things you'll be able to do is there's the opportunity for industry recognition. Right now, when we post results on the mdtf.org website, and now the results, aliases are assigned to all participants. However, if you are happy with your results, you are more than welcome to self-announce your name, which participant you were. Our website gets honestly thousands of visitors, so there's a lot of interest both in the US but then significantly internationally on how these different technologies work. There are dozens of links and from press releases, news articles, and shares on social media. And these results will stay on the website. So this is something you can point back to for the next year or perhaps longer. We will also do a VIP day. This is something that we plan to do prior to the Phase 2 test with the Phase 2 acquisition systems. This will provide an opportunity for probably a few hundred VIP visitors from the U.S. government, foreign governments, the private sector, various aviation or other stakeholder groups to come through, see the technologies, get an understanding of how they work, and talk to you about the capabilities of your products. And then we also plan to have a more flexible cooperative research and development agreement in place that will span about a 12-month period, but will allow not only Rally participation, but maybe other directing forms of collaborative testing throughout the year. So for the acquisition system providers, the application deadline is April 30th, so roughly about a month and a half from now. So we've given a little bit more time to put together the application package. So we're asking for interested companies to provide a white paper, or we're limiting this to 5 pages, and we're asking for the following topics to be covered. Just an overview of who you are, an overview of what your acquisition system does, how it works, and probably I would recommend how it would work within the 6 by 8 square foot space that you would be provided during the Biometric Rally. It would be useful to incorporate or include information about the complexity and the maturity of the technology, as well as what kind of imaging technologies might be incorporated into the system. One thing I'll also notice is it's useful to really kind of have a good understanding of how you expect naive users, people who haven't used your system before, to interact with your system, and how your system will be designed in order to elicit that kind of response from the visitors or from the volunteers. It would be good to include estimates of the performance of the system relative to the performance measures we've described earlier, as well as information on the safety of your system, including eye safety. This is important because we need to show that the systems that will be brought in will be safe for volunteers to interact with and need to be reviewed from that perspective. We also ask that you submit a video. I don't know if we actually specified a length duration to the video.
During the 2019 round, there was a 2-minute length.
Okay,
limit.
so we'll stick with 2 minutes. So a video of up to 2 minutes in length to demonstrate the functionality of your acquisition system. For matching systems, to keep things simple, we're going to have the same application deadline. Again, the limitations for the white paper will be 5 pages, and we're going to ask that you provide a quick overview on who the company is, on who you are, an overview on what your matching system does and how it works, a description on the complexity and maturity of your matching system, estimates of performance relative to the performance measures we've described earlier, and then what you've done with regard to algorithm training, if you've done any sort of machine learning, just so we have an understanding of how diverse, how you've done some of the testing. So we made our initial call for participation on March 2nd. The application deadline will be on April 30th. We intend to review the applications and return responses roughly about May 22nd. And what conditional acceptance means is that assuming that certain criteria are met, we will actually send out final notification in August. This final notification will be contingent upon things like us being able to verify that the systems are safe, that all the required information has been submitted, the IRB has approved the use of the technology, and that the CRADA between S&T and your company has been signed. Phase 1 testing will begin at the MDTF the week of September 28th. We plan to do the teardown between Phase 1 and Phase 2 testing in early October, October 2nd, and then start Phase 2 testing for the week of October 5th. On October 6th, we actually plan to bring in our VIPs, and this will probably be, again, on the order of maybe 100, maybe more people to come in and see your technologies and interact with your personnel to understand how your system works. So what else to expect? We will hold a technical webinar with more specific details about the metrics and the test process on April 7th. After we receive your application, we will let you know if you have been conditionally accepted to participate approximately by May 22nd. And then for those who have been accepted for participation, we are looking for you to complete additional training and then complete additional administrative tasks. So what that means is that we're going to provide you some additional training that staff that will be on-site during the test will need to complete. We will need to make sure that paperwork is appropriately documented and signed before we can issue final acceptance of your application.
These slides are going to go up on the MDTF website later today, probably about 2 p.m. So we wanted to just put a lot of information for those of you that are considering putting together an application package about what needs to go into that. And so that's why these are all.
Yeah, so for the sake of time, I think what we'll do is we won't go over this during the webinar right now. However, I would like to reiterate that these slides will go up by close of business today. So you can go to the mdtf.org website and you will find these slides posted. Hopefully for those of you who may have had trouble reading the slides or tracking what we've been saying during the course of the presentation, you can go back and review the slides at your leisure. So if you need any additional information, please contact peoplescreening@hq.dhs.gov or visit mdtf.org. If you have any questions, we look forward to hearing from you, and we can definitely go through some of the questions right now. So the first question we have here is, will there be a physical or site barrier or screening at the center lane or open air?
Right, so if you go back and look at slide 13, which actually had the diagram there, the outer area are those gray soft walls. The inner area, there's our stanchions essentially around that center lane piece. So they'll just be the typical black and red stanchions that we use.
So just to kind of reiterate, those dark lines that you see there on the left and right side of the Phase 2 station will be roughly about, those will be the 8-foot tall walls?
7.5-foot
Yeah.
walls.
7.5-foot tall walls. The rest of the lines that you see in there will only be stanchions, like ribbon stanchions.
Mm-hmm.
So they will not be physical barriers that prevent people from seeing out. Next question. I take it there is no down select for Phase 2 for matching systems.
So that's right. Matching systems will be evaluated sort of to the side of the Phase 1 and Phase 2 evaluation. So that's there'll be no down select of matching systems. All matching systems will be evaluated.
In both Phase 1 and Phase 2?
Well, so matching systems will definitely be evaluated using data from acquisition systems. However, for this year, the matching system evaluation may include data that's been gathered across from 2018, 2019, and 2020 rallies.
Will there be any penalty if people on the other lanes are sent accidentally?
I think the actual next question applies as well.
Okay.
So during the rally, we're going to do our best to control which lane our volunteers will be going through. We'll be kind of giving them assignments to which lane they will be going to. But additionally, we'll also be doing our best to ground truth the individuals walking through the center lane. So we'll know exactly who's supposed to be an opt-in volunteer. And that additionally answers the next question. During Phase 2, the participants are asked to walk free. The behavior of participants will vary per lane as they walk free, thus the input is not the same for all vendor systems and will impact the end results. Any clarifications on this?
Yeah, so to clarify a little bit, so the rally, the 2020 rally and all the rallies are going to be controlled test events. So although for groups we are increasing the number of potential free parameters, we are going to be tightly controlling which individuals are actually going through the center lane as opposed to the individuals that walk around it. So, and this is something that we're going to be very carefully tracking from the experimental perspective. So your system will be evaluated based on its ability to acquire, capture biometric images for individuals that do walk through the center lane, and specifically not capturing any biometric images for individuals that go around in the opt-out lanes. So they're free to constrained to the fact that they'll be walking through the center lane or the side lanes, which are the opt-out lanes.
I think the other component of this is every participant is going to use every station multiple times, actually. So the inputs in terms of the people that are actually walking through that station are the same across all of the different acquisition systems.
And moreover, even every group of individuals will be the same at every station.
So the next question is, will there be any penalty if people in the center lane be captured sooner before crossing the start line? What we're looking at is we're looking at one image per individual who is supposed to be going through that center lane or an opt-in volunteer. So if you do capture someone who is an opt-in volunteer before they cross the center lane, there won't be a penalty. However, keep in mind that if your system captures anyone who's not opt-in, who may be close to that before entering the station, there will be a penalty for that.
So maybe just to follow up on that, you're not going to know who's going to enter the center lane before they cross that line. So that would probably require a level of sort of precognition that I don't think is really going to be possible.
And there'll be a lot more details and opportunity to discuss these issues in the upcoming technical webinar. So just so you know, this is not your last opportunity to ask questions and get clarification on these issues.
Yeah, and I'll just add one more thing. So the way we are that we're looking at opt-in versus opt-out. Opt-in means that the person is passing through the 6 by 8 square foot space that your system can sit in. Opt-out means they've gone around it. If you are capturing people who are outside of the 6 by 8 square foot space, you may be capturing people who are opting out, which is an undesirable behavior. So that is a consideration that you as a system provider will need to balance the opt-in versus opt-out, as well as versus the amount of time your system takes to collect photos from people. So assuming you are down selected, the total commit for the rally is 2 or 3 weeks on site. Correct. So assuming that you are selected for, or you participate in both phases of the rally, the total duration of the rally is 3 weeks. That being said, I don't believe that there is any, other than requiring that the systems are operational and functioning that day, you can obviously do other work while you are either located at the facility or located nearby the facility in case something goes wrong with your system. Anybody have anything else to add?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Tightly controlling, so does that mean wristbands for ground truth like previous rallies? Yes. We will know who is going through which lanes during the phase 2. And for phase 1, we will use the exact same process where we will use wristbands to know who is entering your test space at any given time. Is the capture time a metric, or the system can wait to obtain a better quality image of the passenger?
So unlike the prior rallies, we're going to be limiting the number of captures that you should submit per person to 1. So we do want to see your best quality image of the subject. However, that being said, you should send us these captures during the time that the individual or the group is interacting with your station. So don't wait to send us those images once the individuals who are going through your station leave. If you send us images after that fact, they may be misassigned, and that will become a penalty on your system. So time should be constrained so as you get a good image while the test subjects are still interacting with your system.
Yeah, and we'll go into much more detail with the metrics on the April 7th webinar as well.
Is the same equipment required to be used for phase 1 as phase 2, and the equipment left behind? So the goal, yes. So basically, we are looking for systems that can perform the tasks of phase one, which is processing an individual, to be the same system that will be used for phase two tasks for processing small groups. We also intend, and then so what you can do then is when you bring your phase one system in, if you are selected for down select, you can store your system at MDTF. In fact, we will ask you to store your systems there while we reconfigure the bay, and then you can set them up again prior to phase two testing. Will there be anyone with masks? No, we are not at this point in time planning to have people going through with masks. In phase two, a green person walking through lane one might look straight into the camera, which might make the capture easier. But while walking through the lane 10, maybe they got tired and they weren't looking at the camera. This will make it difficult to capture their faces, even if it is collected, because it will hurt matching accuracy. User behavior needs to be sort of guided and controlled. The input, okay, to feed the sensor. All right, so your system is responsible for eliciting the desired behavior from the volunteers as they walk through the space. So if you need them to look at the camera, it may be to your benefit to think about how you will get them to look at the camera for the purposes of the test. In the real world, people get tired and they don't always look at cameras or signs. So your system should be designed to take this consideration into account.
And to add to that, so we're going to also try to distribute that effect of fatigue by counterbalancing the order in which the groups encounter the station. So while what Arun is saying is true, is that your system should be able to guide the volunteers appropriately, we will be making sure that your system isn't always the last system to be used or always the first.
Is there a minimal distance between people, or do we expect to deal with dense groups of people? What do we say about group size?
So groups will be generally small, up to certainly less than the full number of people that will be passing through any of the given stations across all lanes will be 12. There will be no minimal distance enforced, so people will be able to pass through the stations as they please. That being said, we don't expect our subjects to be walking, extremely densely together, so just they'll be doing whatever comes natural. We won't be enforcing that behavior. So your system does need to, if you need to separate out the individuals in space, your system needs to handle that.
And with that, if there are any other questions, please feel free to send us emails. We're happy to take any questions offline. As we mentioned before, you can always find the slides posted to mdtf.org. Those will be available before the end of the day today, East Coast U.S. time. And the video, we hope, will be posted within about 2 weeks of this webinar. And additionally, if you're interested in participating in the rally and you'd like to learn more about the application process, that will be included on the slides that are posted online. And we will have an additional webinar on April 7th where we will provide more details and get into more technical information about the application process, as well as how we measure various aspects of performance. Thanks again, and we look forward to your continued interest.